A statement that gets me into a lot of trouble. I never had Jujutsu Kaisen above a 7. Every time I mention this, people get exceptionally mad because apparently a 7 out of 10 is a bad score, but like, when did things ever, like, how did we end up in this position? Since when is something being above the mean a bad thing? This is one of those silly little things about internet culture. At some point, 7 out of 10 became average rather than what it should be, which is good. Like, okay, let's just look at the damn chart. That's above average, so why is a 7 out of 10 the new 5 out of 10? I say new, but I think it's actually been like this since I was like a teenager. Do you guys remember when unemployed individuals would get mad at IGN for giving a game a 7? Oh, that was recent. The most common reason you'll find for this online circles back to the biggest plague in all discussions, Americans. You see, in a lot of places in America, to pass you need to get, you guessed it, a 70%, and nobody on this planet is better at sharing their incredibly low-stakes trauma than my fellow Americans. But it's true. A lot of Americans, because of our education system, have an inflated sense of what would be a just barely passing grade, or what could be considered an average score. And while I do think that plays a factor, I don't think it's a particularly strong or exciting answer. Okay, this is a side question that's only somewhat related. I did a poll on this on my channel a little bit ago. My Discord has been having this debate for, I found out, 4 months now. Can alright equal good? Like, if you said something was alright, would you find that equal to being good? It's imperative that you answer this in the comments. What I think has been a more important factor in 7 out of 10 becoming the new 5 out of 10 score is score inflation. And in my opinion, there is a much bigger reason why this has happened, specifically insecurity. Everyone has a little bit of it, some more than others, and unfortunately, some people make it their moral imperative to tell you all about theirs, and that leads to score inflation. Specifically, I mean, look, we've all seen it, right? You give your opinion on something, you know, hey, I think this is a 6 out of 10, hey, I think this is a 4 out of 10. What do people do? They start taking it personally, and they get all hot, and they get all bothered, or maybe you give something a 7 out of 10, and people still fucking jump you, because the score isn't high enough, which is what happens all the fucking time to me when I talk about ReZero Season 3. I rated that as an adaptation of 7. By the way, it's a 6 now, okay? I got more sour about it. So you enter this feedback loop of insecurity. You give your honest thoughts and a rating. This number that serves as a generally understandable, quickly digestible concentration of how you feel about a piece of media, and insecure people get really mad about it. So in turn, to avoid backlash, because you have now grown insecure about the perception of the things that you're rating, or, you know, people coming at you and kicking your ass, maybe you bump it up a little bit, you know. Well, I was gonna rate this a 6, but, you know, maybe it's a 7. Let's bump it up a little bit, just so, you know, the people that really should be on Indeed.com don't come into my quote retweets and call me the raped. A vicious cycle of the angriest dorks you've ever seen making critics angry and insecure, but this is a phenomenon that I've been talking about on this channel for years at this point. The insane tribalism of modern-day fandom. I mean, I say modern day, but it's really possible this was the case before the internet became as big as it is too. It's just that it was harder to stumble in its behavior. We're getting an example live. As I was writing this video, I saw what was happening with IGN and Crimson Desert. And for those who were just born, IGN is a small independent game journalism outlet. Particularly, this writer for the site called Travis posted a review on the game Crimson Desert in which he gave it a 6 out of 10, saying it was alright with its own flaws that held it back. Well, that isn't the main issue. The main issue is apparently because Travis gave another game a 9 out of 10, saying it was amazing. What's the correlation here? Well, there isn't one. These people are spiritually 12 years old. You will, however, find paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs written about a conspiracy to trigger gamers because of a difference in opinion. There's a lot more to be said about Crimson Desert and Marathon in a much broader discussion about how they're weaponized as parts of irrelevant culture wars, but that isn't necessarily what this video is about. Rather than talking about the aspects of the culture war, we can more generally speak about the tribalism of it. Interestingly, criticism has been twisted over the years from a fact of life to a negative expression. Like, this guy is criticizing something or something that I like, therefore he's being an asshole. Research has shown that to some people, criticism can trigger, like, distress in individuals. Truth be told, some people online, there's really no nice way to say this, don't really have a lot going on. Human beings are social animals. We like to talk to people about things. We like to be involved in discussions, and fandom is an extension of that social group. A study done on Harry Potter and Twilight fans found that they met that need of belonging through assimilation with their respective fandoms. with fans forming a collective fan identity and benefiting psychologically in terms of positive mood and life satisfaction from this social surrogate. So naturally, you can, it's not guaranteed, but you can become way too fucking invested in this. Someone criticizing something you like becomes attacking a part of your core identity. I loved Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 as an adaptation. I thought it was incredible across the board. I have very little bad to say about it. When the Yuji and Hakari scene aired, which is basically a continuous 3-minute held shot between the two of them, I said I wasn't really a huge fan of the execution of that scene, but I loved that they went for it. It's a creative and fun idea to try and execute, and I was really happy that, you know, JJK Season 3 was taking all of these risks in its adaptation. Even if I don't think that it worked personally, I thought it was cool. And if we zoom out from the vacuum, all I've done is say Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 is fantastic. Got called a pseudo-intellectual, accused of being ungrateful, called an attention whore, and had hundreds of people agreeing with these statements, where I gave one of the lightest criticisms of my entire career. It's typical tribalist in-group and out-group behavior, and it really speaks to the polarization of internet discourse. Everything is peak, everything is ass, there is no real room for nuanced opinions. And because I said that this scene wasn't a 10 out of 10, but that I still enjoyed what it represented, boy did they let me know that they don't agree with me. So, when criticism, no matter how soft, is seen as an attack, when people don't got a lot going on in their lives, feel like they're being attacked by you for saying that something was good but not as good as they think it is, and in the era of discourse polarization, they're going to lash out at you for rating one thing a 6 out of 10 and another a 9 out of 10. A 6 out of 10 isn't good enough. If you post a 6 out of 10, you're going to get harassed, you're going to get threatened, your Twitter notification is going to be fucking unusable for a few days. Bump that review up to a 7. You're going to get like 15% of them off your ass. I talk about this more in my video, Let People Enjoy Things, but in 1954, a bunch of researchers put kids into two groups. They were given symbols, facilities, and their own products that kind of like loop back to what group they were in. These kids became immediately invested in battle and started lighting each other's shit on fire. To some people, this fandom shit is that serious. It's serious enough to harass the average score from a 5 to a 7. Because of the widespread tribalism and harassment of differing opinions, we've entered the era of what my pal Jordan considers the era of the expected. Your thoughts on this or that are expected to meet this bar. Your takes must firmly assimilate into the hive mind. Liking JJK is the expected, so if you slide even just a little bit under the bar, you're a fucking ungrateful, stupid piece of shit. This fear of being seen as a hater, or as someone who is, quote, just trying to be different, leads to this toxic feedback loop where only the strongest unemployed sycophants make it through the sieve, who then perpetuate the in-group and out-group dynamics to the point of insanity over lukewarm and not exceptionally harsh critique about, well, I guess in our context, stuff like comic books, or, you know, cartoons. The overarching point of this video has been about number rating systems, so wouldn't this be resolved if you instead just wrote out your thoughts instead of concentrating them into points? Well, no, because the people in fandom are not going to read your post. This, however, does not mean that they won't engage with it. They will not read it and still argue with you, or even better, they will read someone else's summarization of your thoughts and argue with that instead. The eradication of point-based reviews would only function in an environment in which people engage with things in good faith, so you guessed it, it won't fucking work. I actually got a fantastic example of this negative polarization in which people are so fucking agenda-brained that they cannot critically engage with the things you say while writing the script. The author of ReZero had a Q&A in which someone misinterpreted something he said to mean that the series was adding quite a few more arcs to its runtime. As someone who was working on an arc-by-arc review of the series and had just solidified the structure of how it was going to do that, like, at first it was 3 videos, now it's going to be 4 videos and stuff like that, I jokingly posted about how, oh my god, my outline is fucked if this is true, and I hyperbolically reacted as like I was just posting funny stuff online. So naturally, some people somehow came to the conclusion that this is me hating, being called the usual suspects and just Asa being Asa, for what seems like the most transparently obvious joke of all time. When I asked how the hell this is possibly being construed as me hating, the response was to quite literally ignore the context of the post to push the ReZero agenda. Is this me getting mad at a single post about me on Twitter? Absolutely, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you, it tilted me. I was just being silly online. And a bunch of dorks used it as an opportunity to insinuate that I have some anti-ReZero agenda. I'm getting one guide, or maybe like 3 guide. There's also an unspoken culprit when it comes to discussions like these. Well, I mean, maybe they're spoken about in some circles, but I don't see them talked about enough. But what we're about to talk about is something that, as I've gotten older, I've come to hate more and more and more, stronger and stronger and stronger. Algorithms. Specifically, social media algorithms. The stuff on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, maybe Instagram. I don't know. I'm a bit too unk for Instagram. I've never really used it before. Algorithms want you to A, stay on the website it's hosted on, and B, get you to use it more by clicking or engaging in random bullshit. You're on Twitter and you see a stupid little post, you click on it and maybe reply or go through some comments. Congratulations, the pile of gold the dragon was sitting on got a little bit bigger. I mean, I just did this in the aforementioned example about ReZero and Twitter. Some guy was talking shit, it irritated me, and I replied. It's built into our fucking brains to interact with things that piss us off. So what's gonna happen? Controversial behavior, hyperbolic phrasing, strawmanning, dunking, and so on and so forth are incentivized by algorithms by stimulating our little brains with rewarding in-group social contact. People have built entire careers off this. I made my entire MHA following by taking down bad MHA takes and slander. I acted somewhat hyperbolic and aggressive on purpose because I knew that this was how the internet worked. You had to be a loud, kind of rude voice to get off the ground. And I mean, I think it's safe to say, based on this channel, I kind of got the ball rolling. Maybe, you know, not to the extent other people have, but it's worked out. Antisocial behavior is incentivized by being the most exaggerated asshole to people for no real particular reason, so that you can get a ton of engagement and the algorithm fillets you. This guy on Twitter the other day posted about a scene he liked in an anime and got called a LARPer, as if he was ever claiming to be a diehard fan of it because it was funny, I guess, and it got a lot of likes. This behavior is only getting more normalized as more and more people grow up in these social media environments where perceived slights are blown up into broader discourse and drama, and you're rewarded by people just as psychotic as you on the internet. This isn't to say to never engage with content you disagree with just because it's being offered up by an algorithm. That would be silly, but it's better to maintain a level head and be kind of just like, I don't know, a normal guy about it, you know? Like, there was this post on Kagurabachi Twitter the other day in which they made a very silly post about Kagurabachi misogyny. I saw the post, I was like, well, that's stupid. I kept scrolling, it was whatever. They got so unbelievably shit on, right? And there is a point, right, where you're posting on a public outlet, people are going to respond to it. But I feel like just because you expect people to respond that doesn't entitle them to be jerk-offs. And it blew up into this whole thing, and it circles back to what I said earlier. These perceived slights are blown up into discourse that doesn't need to exist because you have nothing else to do. And I guess that's all I've got to say, really. Conversations about people's thoughts on fiction or art and fandom has become inherently bad faith because of in-group, out-group politics and algorithmic incentive. And that has, by extension, pushed people into being afraid to rate things how they truly feel, which is by virtue, in the public consciousness, raised the average from a 5 to a 7, even though it makes no goddamn sense. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe for more. You can also check the description down below to become a member, which gives you benefits like early videos, membership badges, and cool custom emotes. You can join the Discord where we talk about ReZero, Kagurabachi, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all kind of stuff. Additionally, you can go to the channel store and pick up some awesome stickers made by our channel artist, so you can carry the power of Graphia with you on your water bottle. That's about it though. Thank you for watching. See ya.